two things there. One, Philip Rieff makes the point that culture, and by culture he typically means the ways in which values are transmitted from generation to generation. He's not talking about pop culture. He's talking very specifically about the mechanisms by which values are transmitted from generation to generation. He says we live at a unique time because in almost all other epochs of history, the elite, the cultural elite, have seen it as their task to pass on the wisdom of the previous generation to the next, sometimes with modifications, but by and large, the emphasis has been on continuity rather than break. We live at a time, he says, where the cultural elites are committed to the iconoclasm of the values of the past. And that manifests itself in various forms. And they do this in various ways. And one of the ways, he says, is this deathwork idea, where you take that which was sacred to a previous culture and you sort of flip it on its head. The most obvious example, and it's a rather tasteless one, I hope that the audience will sort of bear, you know what I'm going to talk about.
It's art, Carl.
Yeah, art. And Andres Serrano's notorious work from the mid-1980s, Piss Christ, which is a crucifix submerged in a bottle of Serrano's own urine. And for Rieff, that's an extreme but a great example of a death work, that you have something there that was sacred that has been made dirty, ridiculous, has had its authority stripped from it. He has, I think, this memorable phrase where he says, the sacramental has been turned into the excremental.
Right.
But he would also point to other works, the literature of James Joyce, for example, where Bible verses, sacred themes are picked up and really subtly mocked. I would say, I don't think Rieff points to this, but I would say in some ways satire can be like a death work, in that it makes the traditional authorities look ridiculous. So the way that what he calls the anti-culture, the iconoclastic culture that really wants to make everything new, is able to sort of shape the social imaginary, is often through these cultural artifacts that deliberately play with the signs of the previous culture in a way that sort of makes them mean the opposite of precisely that which they were intended originally to mean, or the opposite function to that which they were originally meant to have.